Well, here we are again. As Alan said, it was only 2009, and that was just after an election. Was that a coincidence that the 2% for our pay rise was taken out of the business plan? At that time, though, although we were all angry, teachers actually did ballot on action, and we were on the very brink of taking action when we did receive an improvement to our terms and conditions, the right to an uninterrupted lunch hour that we've been fighting for a long time. So I would say to you that the threat of action really does work. Our anger at that time was such that I would never have expected it to happen again. But in 2012, surprise, surprise, just after another election, do they really think we've got such short memories? Here we are again. The money allocated in the business plan was summarily withdrawn. Even though the paltry 2% that was in the business plan wouldn't have maintained our pay levels in the light of a 5% rate of inflation. Now, it's tempting, isn't it, for the States members, well, for the Treasury Minister to do this. The public sector wage bill is high, and cutting it in real terms saves a lot of money. But my electricity bill is high, and I would like to say to them, I can't afford to pay it, I'll pay 5% less. It won't wash, will it? And cutting our pay levels won't wash with us either. Over the last 4 years, we have seen a 7% reduction in our spending power. As Alan said, we've had derisory offers, and we've had that offer imposed. It's a further attempt to curtail our negotiating right. The cutting short of negotiations without entering the mediation process constitutes an imposed variation of contract, which has made us very angry. We have been offered 4% in 2014. This is a carrot, but we don't know whether it'll happen because it'll depend on savings through the modernisation process. We still can't establish whether it's going to be decoupled from the modernisation process. Now, teachers have looked at ways in which they could change their working practices, and there's no way in which the wage bill can be cut without seriously cutting into our conditions of service. What are they going to do? Are they going to raise class sizes? Are they going to take away our right to compassionate leave? Are they going to take away sickness pay? What will we have to do to get that 4%? We must make absolutely certain that our conditions of service are protected. I would like to say that teachers have no more to give. They are on average working 50% more than their contracted hours. Many teachers tell me that they're working 70-hour weeks. They're highly skilled, highly trained professionals, and yet they don't have enough money to take their families on a proper holiday in the summer. Many can't. Teachers are really feeling the pinch. The Education Minister said in an interview in the JP that we have really great teachers in our schools. Their practice was superb. And I know that the youth crime rate is plummeting, and that is because of youth workers, the children's service, the probation service. All the people who work with young people are doing a really great job. They do not deserve to be kicked in the teeth and have their spending carried away. And the State Employment Board are not listening. I've looked around this room to see if there are any States members here, and thank you for those who've come. I know you support us anyway, but where are the States Employment Board? Have they come? I believe that only one of them even replied to the invitation. So they're not listening. We've been told that the states can't afford to give us a pay rise. We don't believe believe them. They've refused to give honest answers to our questions about how much of this pay rise would go back to the states in the form of tax. They say 13% from teachers, we say 25%. More importantly, if you have thousands of public sector workers and their families who are secure in their jobs, who have money in their pocket to spend, it will go into the economy and it will improve the lot of everyone. It will boost the local economy. The Treasurer won't even work out what that multiplier might be. And if the states want to raise money, why don't they take steps to raise money from non-local businesses who trade here for free? We know there are people in the private sector who've lost their jobs or suffered pay cuts, so why should the public sector be a special case? I would say we'll support the rights of all groups to maintain their pay levels and fight for a living wage for all. Why should taxpayers subsidise greedy employers who don't pay a living wage and we have to subsidise them in the form of income support? However, private sector pay did rise, on average, by 1.8% in 2012. I know teachers in at least one private school who've had their efforts rewarded by a 2% pay rise. Some workers have suffered a pay freeze, but many did receive pay rises of at least 3%. And the most recent available figures for the finance sector show that in 2011, 83 million was paid in bonuses. So, we just need to remember that those countries that invest in the public sector in times of recession find that they emerge from the recession sooner. The states may be suffering from the effects of the recession, but that's no excuse to exploit rising unemployment here and in the UK by reducing the pay and conditions of its workers. Last year, 24% of teachers were considering leaving Jersey or the profession. A young professional who can't afford to buy a house here will go. Why is it only the wealthy residents we're afraid of scaring off? The State's Employment Board has in the past been a model employer that supported workers' rights and set standards for others to follow. We must make our voice heard to ensure that every employer treats its workers fairly. If we let them get away with it this time, where will it end? Our job security? Our job security, our conditions of service, our pensions, our right to demand fair treatment, our right to a decent work-life balance are all under threat. We must make our voice heard and demand fair treatment. Register your lack of confidence in the State's Employment Board, and when you're balloted, vote for action up to and including strike action to enable your action committees flexibility. To put pressure on this government and make them listen.
Thank you, Anne. Next speaker, John McNichol. Now, this lighting up here is a bit